In 1980, 23-year-old writer Lisa Birnbach came out with the official Preppy Handbook. It was a satirical ode to this sort of East Coast waspy preppy culture. And this book, which was meant to poke fun at old money elites, became something different. It became a how-to guide for a generation. It originally retailed for $3.95. It is currently out of print, but it sold over 1 million copies. And it really came out at the perfect moment. The culture in America was shifting away from hating the rich to wanting to become them. Even though Lisa Birnbach is the name most commonly associated with the official Preppy Handbook, it was her friend Jonathan Roberts who came up with the original idea. He got together his crew of preppy friends, Lisa, Carol McD Wallace, and Mason Wiley, and they all wrote it together. Lisa did take a leadership role. She was writing at the Village Voice at the time and had this very interesting point of view. She was sort of an insider-outsider. As a New York Jew who was going to these really prestigious universities like Barnard and Brown, she was probably rubbing shoulders with a lot of these waspy elements. I have a PDF that I've been referencing. It can be a little difficult and pricey to find a physical copy of the book, but if you read through it, it really is acerbic and biting and irreverent. It's amazing that so many people used it as an unironic blueprint to achieve a look and a lifestyle. And it had a big impact domestically and abroad. In Ametora, How Japan Saved American Style, W. David Marks says that people in Japan were buying the book as a fashion guide that they could reference. And many people think that it was in no small part thanks to the official Preppy Handbook that we have this idea of what fashion was like in the 80s. The Lacoste shirts, Sperry topsiders, penny loafers, little sweater around the shoulders, pastels, all of these things are specifically talked about in this book. And that all brings us to today, because if you haven't noticed, loafers have been trending for some time now. But does that mean that the prep style is back? In 2024, Elle magazine actually interviewed Lisa Birnbach about this. And they're not just talking about if prep is back, but more so like what prep is in our modern day. You could say it's definitely becoming more eclectic, especially if you're referencing recent Miu Miu collections. But if you're talking more about the ethos behind the official Preppy Handbook, this sort of emulation of a lifestyle, of this very well-to-do lifestyle, then we're probably looking more at the conversation around quiet luxury. There was also an article about the Preppy Handbook in 2023 by the Wall Street Journal, and I know a lot of people have been talking a lot about recession fashion, and I feel like our whole country is the boy who cried wolf, because I feel like we've been talking about a recession now for years, and I don't quite see one manifesting, not that I want it to. Birnbach says in this article that she has noticed that when life seems particularly unstable, the Preppy Handbook is a comfort item, as much as macaroni and cheese and chicken pot pie. The idea being that when the economy or our world feels more and more unstable, people tend to cling to older classics. I talked about this in another video because it's been really prevalent in the city boy style, this Japanese Americana style, but coming out of the loafers trend, boat shoes are back in style. Whether you hate them or whether you like them, people have decided to wear them again. In this GQ article, Are Boat Shoes Really Back? They seem pretty incredulous about it. They have Todd Snyder saying, "For one, yes. In menswear, you have these pieces that are classics. They're icons. Whether you consider it cool or not, once you hit classic, you're forever in," says Snyder, who recently dropped a collaboration with Sperry inspired by white boat shoes he used to wear in the 80s. The boat shoe is forever in. And for many, possibly some of the older men in your lives, boat shoes never really went away. I've also been dipping my toe into preppier styles, though button-downs have always been my thing, so it's not necessarily that. I have bought a couple of loafers, but they're almost more like flat shoes. Neither of them are really like tassel loafers or like penny loafers, none of the classics. I also personally don't love an East Coast waspy prep style. I'm not going to wear a Nantucket red. I don't really like polos. I am more influenced, I think, by traditional British and Italian menswear, which does seem preppy. It's like, I would say, in the preppy family. So with all that in mind, I'd actually like to try to put together some outfits inspired by the official Preppy Handbook. I'm going to be using their style guide. The book is organized in sort of chronological order of someone's life. So it starts like with children while you're in school, middle school, high school, college years, going into your workplace, etc., etc. Chapter 4 specifically is all about dressing the part, so we're going to be focusing on that chapter. Going through these guidelines, there was some stuff off the bat that I actually identified with and felt like I could really do with my wardrobe, and some stuff that I wasn't able to use at all. There are 4 things that resonated with me specifically because I find them to be foundational for how I buy clothes and how I curate my wardrobe. They are natural fibers, quality, practicality, and androgyny. So in the book, she talks about how there are a lot of women who wear menswear silhouettes, and that, of course, is really big for me. The other things I think I can incorporate are navy blue. I own a lot of navy blue, so that's right up my alley. Someone else's clothes, hand-me-downs, or in my case, a lot of thrifted or vintage clothing. Underdressing, this is all going to be really pretty casual. Khakis, I have one pair of khakis that I own that I bought this year, so that's some good luck. Very beat up jeans, I have some old Levi's I can use. And polo shirts. I have one polo shirt that I think will work for this. It's a little bit kookier than I'm sure they were wearing, but it's what I have. I was actually lucky enough to have Bear send me some bags for this video. They make these beautiful classic British style leather bags that are really good for something as ever present as prep, you know, this classic style that never really goes away. They are a London-based company, but they make these bags in Bolivia. They work with artisanal bag makers there. If you're interested, they gave me a code. It's just Preppy, all caps, and you can get 10% off any bags that are not already on sale. And you'll have that available for a week. So let's get styling. This first outfit I tried to lift directly from the handbook. There's a girl wearing a long sleeve button down and shorts, and I think her shorts are khaki. It's a black and white picture. Obviously mine are navy blue. She's also just wearing little white sneakers. The sneakers that they talk about in the handbook are tree torns, which you can still buy today, though they're not like particularly trendy at the moment. I'm just gonna put on my Carhu, and let me get those. Just gonna throw on my watch, which I'll probably keep on for the rest of the video. My main issue with this is I don't have belt loops on this pair of shorts, but she's wearing a belt, and I also just feel like in general belts are very preppy. I feel like especially in that era, everyone wore belts. If the outfit had an opportunity for a belt, they wore a belt. So let me see if I can sort of just tie one around my waist. I also don't really have any skinny belts. My belt is pretty wide, and this is my partner's belt. It's going to be super long on me. I don't know about this. Okay, the real issue is the color. I think this is too dark. See how wide my brown leather belt is, though? I don't think that's going to do it. That's going to have to do. You know, it's still going by the book, wearing other people's clothes, wearing men's clothes, my partner's belt. Okay, let me put my hat on. Adding my own personal spin on it, since I always wear this hat, especially when it's hot and sunny. Which I assume this outfit is for, since it's shorts. And then, oh yeah, my leather bag. Am I looking so preppy? I grew up in the city, I grew up in Philadelphia, and no one was really doing prep where I went to high school. Everyone was a hipster. However, in the 2000s, the 20-year cycle, there was twee. Twee was really big, and I would say twee is adjacent to prep. The silhouettes, the little Peter Pan collars, the dresses, I guess they wore ballet flats, not loafers. Maybe there were some loafers in twee. This bag that I chose, the Judy, I wanted it to be huge, and it is, especially because I don't own a bag in this color at all. I wanted it to be practical and hold a lot. It could even be a work bag. I brought it to my friend's housewarming the other day. It fit like a shirt, a water bottle, a bag of limes, a bottle of wine, and I particularly wanted to show it to her because she's a banker and she wears very professional clothing, and I typically don't. So she was very actually impressed by it. I was like, isn't it so grown up? It's so well made, you know, the high quality leather, and she liked it. She approved. So this is look number one. I'm trying to think of what the preppies were doing in these outfits. Like, is this going out to lunch with your friends? Are you like hanging out by the lake? You know, I had to wear my Maine sweater for this video, but I don't actually know what the vibe was for Maine in the 80s. This book mostly talks about like Connecticut and Nantucket, the areas closer to like New York City or Boston. Maybe Maine was considered pretty rugged still at that time, but now I think of it as like a pretty shishy vacation spot, you know, to escape the heat in the summer. You go up to Maine. I'm wearing my khakis. I also wanted to wear my little rubber loafers. They're a good shoe shape, I think, for this video. Obviously the construction is weird. I bought them off of eBay almost as a joke, but they also have some plaid in there. You can see the pattern is plaid, and there's a lot of plaid in this book, on this book, around this book, so I wanted to include some. Since this outfit is a little heavier, a little bit more full coverage than the first one, I put on this daintier crossbody bag. If you know me, you know I like crossbody bags. I have a preference for them because I want to be hands-free, if at all possible. But generally they hold less than shoulder bags or handbags. This is called the Roger Mini. It reminded me a little bit of Coach bags in general, like a nice structured bag. And they specifically highlight Coach bags in the handbook as, you know, something for the girlies to wear. Plus this
This is the only Coach bag I own. It's a little bit more unstructured, a little bit more boho, so I think this one works better for prep. This silhouette is definitely a bit wider than they probably would have worn in the 80s, especially the khakis, but I think in general the colors are really on point. The plaid, the brown, the tan, the navy blue. I feel like these are really the bread and butter of prep. Okay, now I feel like I might be making things up, but did they ever wear like little bandanas around their collars, like ties? This feels very 80s to me. When I put it on, I was like, that seems 80s. Did Princess Diana wear something like this? There's something that I'm referencing that I can't quite bring to mind. Let me put together the rest of the outfit, see if it makes sense. This look is definitely something of my own invention. The handbook also said no black, but I wanted to put something together that wasn't just browns and blues, which is most of my other looks. It is also a little bit of a mix, I think, between the masculine silhouettes they were describing and some of the more feminine elements, like my little white button down and this little bandana neckerchief. Like, I don't think a man would wear this like that, especially in that era. But it's a little bit prep school, which I like, so let me add a bag in that vein. This is the Lila Black, which I thought originally was going to give briefcase, but now that I'm thinking prep school, it's almost like a little lunch box, a little really fancy lunch pail. Maybe this is what they were giving their kids to go to prep schools in the 1980s. They didn't mention black, or rather they didn't suggest you wear black, but they did talk about gray trousers, gray flannel trousers, which I don't think I've ever owned a pair of flannel trousers. I don't exactly know what those are. They seem warm, probably, for the cold New England summers, winters, falls. This bag actually has straps and can be worn a couple of different ways as a backpack, which also works for prep school, and as a crossbody. Let me pull those out. Okay, listen, would I wear this outfit out in public? No, probably not, but is it perfect for this character that I created in my mind? Yeah, I think it's awesome. If I had an opportunity to go to a party dressed as like a little goth preppy schoolboy, then I could wear this. I wanted to do 2 jean looks, especially since the handbook said old beat up jeans were on the menu, especially Levi's, and I have 2 pairs of Levi's. I have this light wash one and sort of medium wash one. Plus, I had to do a polo. This is the only polo I own. It's from Capital, which is a Japanese brand. If you can see, there's this extra set of buttons, which is partially why I bought it. I really love in fashion, this is one of my favorite things, items that are a classic but done in just a slightly different way, a slightly more peculiar way, to take something that people think that they really know and understand and then change it to be something new. I mean, that's just feels like what fashion is all about. So this is my polo and my beat up jeans. Let's do a bag. This is a pretty everyday look. It's also fairly boyish, fairly masculine. I think this bag is a good addition actually because it feels equally feminine and masculine. I think it works in both situations. So I actually like adding usually a more feminine touch to a more masculine outfit, but in some ways I think it adds to it. I just think this really brings it to some sort of mushy middle, and I actually think this would be a cute work outfit if you had a casual workplace. This would be a great work bag. You can definitely fit a laptop in it, and I think it'll look really good as it wears, as it ages. Okay, you know the fashion rule, like you match your belt to your pants. Are you supposed to match your bag to your belt to your pants? It feels like a little much. Came up with that rule? I guess it makes it easy. It makes it a little bit easier to know that things are like going together. I'm also worried these pants are a little too Western. Like I thought they were straight leg in my mind, but now I'm thinking they're boot cut. Is that possible? I like the way they fall on these shoes. These are my Bally loafers. See, I said I had loafers, but they're not like the most modern or loafers that are in right now. Like why are these so high up on my foot? But I like them. I like them with the pant leg, falling over them. Maybe that's why it looks Western. It's because it looks like a boot. I think we're going to end it there. I've given all the prep I have to give. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know what your thoughts are on preppiness. Preppiness now, preppiness then, preppiness later, the past, present, and future of prep. It's all relevant.